Jason is one of my friends here. He's actually part of my super ecom agency, or our super ecom agency, because everybody does their fair share of everything. And he's the expert on SEO and web design. He's the master of SEO and web design. So I guess today we're going to talk about SEO, web design, and everything else that goes along with it, how people can improve their rankings, how they can make their websites better, and all that good stuff. Because a lot of people don't realize this. When I talk to clients, and I'm sure you do when you talk to them too, I know you do this. It's people want to hack everything when it comes to traffic, but no one wants to improve where they're sending that traffic to or the offer. Like, it's all how you present it in a pretty package. If it's not optimized, you're not going to get conversions. If it doesn't resonate, if it's not optimized for mobile, you don't get conversions. And then if you don't rank in Google, forget it. It's not only Google, it's Google, Bing, everything, all of the above, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So I know you're traveling all over the country. You're in your RV living the dream, bro. That's great. But before we get into it, how did you get to have the perfect life for traveling in the RV around the country doing what you do and how you love it, man? How did you get to where you're at today? Let's talk about a little bit about your background first.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been doing the whole digital marketing agency for 11, 12, 13 years, if you want to go as far back as when I started building, junky little websites with HTML and Dreamweaver, right? So yeah, I was doing that back in high school, and then I went to college. I tried the engineering thing. I've got most of an electrical engineering degree, got bored with that, switched over, got an art degree. During all that, I did professional audio visual work, and then finally, when that dried up, I got married and got a desk job as a junior developer, helping with an e-com website that sold security cameras and surveillance equipment. So that was kind of the first foray into software development,
that makes
web
sense,
development,
though.
stuff like that.
That makes sense, though, because you went to school for engineering and then you went for art. So if you put two together, it's like, okay, design and websites. Back then it was pure code. So I can see how those two came together at one point.
Yeah, and I picked up photography along the way too, and stuff like that. So kind of like the aesthetic side of things, but also the engineering and the project management side of things. Obviously, running a company, you got to be a project manager too. So all that kind of rolled in, and eventually I kind of took up the marketing aspect of that company I was working for and worked with the development team as well. So, and then one of the main developers, one of the leads, ended up moving on to another company, taking me with him as the director of marketing for that company as well. So I went over there, did director of marketing, and managed the ASP.NET software development team for a couple of years. Got laid off, and then kind of decided I didn't want to do it anymore for anybody else. So that was in 2011, 2010. I think it was late 2011. And yeah, so I've been doing my own thing ever since. I've gone and worked long-term contracts for a couple of gigs, including that old security camera company again.
Now, were you married? Were you married already at this point? Did you have the kids at this point?
No kids. Kids came in 15, but we got married in 08. So I was married.
I'm just asking because it's a big step. Anybody who's done it, it's not easy, man. Everybody thinks like, hey, I'm going to work for myself. It's like, it's hard. It's not easy. Like that's what I hate about social media today. And I guess YouTube and all that, which is ironic because we're on YouTube right now, but they make it sound so easy, but it's not. It really is. It takes a lot of work. People don't realize how much work it takes. Like, I literally have dreams about campaigns that I'm running in the middle of the night. I wake up with nightmares. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to do this. And then I'll run to my office and change something in a campaign and go back to sleep. That's just me. I mean, I'm just like that,
Well, you have to know how to manage your time. It's like working for a full-time company, except for you're running the company too, right? And especially when you decide to bring on other people, when you have employees, then it gets real quick. And taxes, we all hate being double, triple, quadruple taxed, right?
Yes.
So we have to deal with that, and then we're each it's like having however many clients you have. It's like having that many jobs, right?
Right.
Because you're accountable to those clients. You're responsible for, a lot of times you're responsible for their legal. You're responsible for their input, their output, their bottom line. It's crazy. And then obviously you have your own too. So it's when it was just me, it was nice. I was running a company. I had, full time plus, you're working 50, 60 hours, but at least you're just managing yourself, right? But when you start growing, it gets tricky,
Right. Right. No.
as you're kind of finding out now, right?
Yes. Yes. We've had a conversation before this. Yeah, it gets pretty tricky. I mean, it's not the first time I've done it, but it's just
Right.
you learn something new. And I've been doing this for a long time, and I've had teams for a long time, and it's like it's juggling. You have somebody who runs things too, and everybody puts in their time and stuff like that. But sometimes, you got to step in there and just take care of it. You know what I mean? And it's just, especially with new stuff, you're working out the kinks, and everybody's trying to find their place and their flow and all that good stuff. So I get it. But okay, so you decided you go on your own, but how did you start to get clients? I mean, you already had a few you were working with on the side, like, or you just took the dip all the way, knocked on doors or phone calls or emails? How did you do it?
Yeah, I mean, initially, initially when I got laid off from that engineering company that I was director of marketing at, I went back to my AV roots, right? So I'd done professional audio visual for about 3 or 4 years, and I had built a good relationship with a bunch of people that ran the labor coordination for local Dallas AV companies, right? So I basically just made a few phone calls and said, okay, hey, I need some work, some freelance work. And they say, yeah, man, when can you be here? I've got a 4 hour gig. I've got a 1 week gig. So I supplemented starting up my agency with falling back on that, my old relationships with the audiovisual industry. And it was a lot of long hours, right? Because AV, you're doing a gig for Microsoft and you've got to start at 2 a.m. and finish at 3 a.m. 3 days later, right? So a lot of 30, 40 hour weeks, just doing the same thing over and over. But while I was doing all of that, I was able to kind of build a few clients, go back to people that I had been in relationships with at the companies I'd worked for previously, reach out to college acquaintances and stuff like that I knew their parents owned gigs or owned companies. While I was working for that security camera company, I started a partnership to do a local bar and restaurant review type website back before there were apps really and stuff like that. So we were doing that during that same time as well. And yeah, I just talked to my wife and said, hey, look, you've got your careers going. She had finished college and she had already been working for a couple of years at that point as a teacher. So she had pretty decent income in her school district, and we didn't have a ton of debt. We had just bought a house, so there was that big
That's a
mortgage
lot of
on our
debt.
head. Yeah, yeah. So we had just bought the house the year prior. So we had to kind of lock down and say, look, I'm not going to make much money for the next year or so. But at the same time, I was making good money doing the AV stuff on the side. So I just started building a couple websites. For my first website was terrible. It looked like garbage. I found some pictures of it from it the other day, and I was like, there's no way I'm a professional, right? Even though I had a degree, right, I didn't know what I was doing. It was garbage. It was absolute garbage. So you always have to start somewhere, right? So
Right.
yeah, I just pushed through it. The clients that I did get, they loved my work. So I didn't really have any discouragement there. And I had a very broad spectrum. I had a development background because I had worked with those developer teams. I'd been part of more than just front end look and feel stuff for the gigs that I had worked with. And then I had also done social media in college and social media for those companies. So I had a very technical knowledge and a front end sort of marketing knowledge and a little bit of design. I'm not an artist, but I make do on the web, right? So, so yeah, it all just kind of progressed from there. I would take, I went back to that company, that security camera company, and kind of did a director of marketing contract with them. I worked with another agency. I came in and kind of saved one of their projects for them. and they offered me a job on the spot. So I worked there for 5 or 6 months, and that's actually where I met and picked up my my partner now, and lead developer, Lance. So that relationship, it's all about relationships, man. You make these relationships, you just keep banging on it, right? And
Right.
clients will come, clients will go, but the more clients you make happy, and you're slowly growing a successful base, and then now we're to the point where, you know, we're 4 strong, plus contractors, and we're looking to take it to the next level with all of the prospecting and lead generation, and really going crazy with it. So growth phase time.
Imagine that. Do a great job, make your clients happy, and it'll take you to the next level by itself. Then you sprinkle some marketing on top, and then that's how you really scale.
It's hard because, you know, it's a lot of time where, you know, if I bill half of my day, I'm pretty lucky, right?
Right.
Because I've got management duties, I've got clerical stuff, I've got, you know, just emails that I feel bad charging for. So there's stuff like that, and you're working crazy amounts of hours to make up for a full-time billable schedule, right?
Right.
And as a consultant, which is basically what I am and what we are, it's tough. So we're also working on productizing things, as far as like apps or plugins, and even our full website platform that
it's tough. It's tough doing the consulting part, and I started doing it because people kept asking me, and I'm like, okay, I can't give away my time for free, but for certain people, they don't need the whole shebang. This is a lot when I started and stuff like that, and I was like, all right, well, people keep asking me to consult. I can do it. I have no issue with that, but I have to charge you what my time is worth. I'm sorry. Well, no, I'm not sorry, because the knowledge that I'm giving you will make you a shit ton of money. So no, I'm not sorry. Right. But, you can't have the cake and eat it too. I mean, it is what it is. Well, and even when I do consulting, like, even though I charge accordingly, I feel like it's taking time from my day for other stuff, but I love doing it because I love helping people at the same time. It's like, so
yeah, it's tough finding clients that understand. You've got both of them. I've got clients that ask me, why'd you charge me for that phone call? And then
I don't have that issue. Everything's up front. Like, here, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much now, but that's because I'm charging real money now, right? Like, when I started, I was charging like $25 an hour.
Yeah.
That was way different, right?
Right.
And there's some good case studies out there on that too. You start charging $100 an hour, and all of a sudden you've got clients that are worth $100 an hour.
Sure.
And that's that's true. I found that out, but you still have to go through that phase. I feel like
you got to build. You got to build a reputation, a portfolio, and you got to know what you're talking about.
When you have to get that good, you have to get that good, right? You have to get to the point where you're worth it.
Experience.
And I'm not a salesperson, so I can't sell myself for 4 times what I'm worth, because I'm way too honest, and honesty again, I feel bad for it, right? And I'm not gonna hurt them on the backside of it by having to have them come back and find somebody else to do a better job because I did a shitty job. And honestly, that's like 60% of our work is going in and fixing stuff. Right. And recoding, redeveloping something that somebody else did so that it actually works. It's embarrassing how many people deliver these products, even big platforms, and it just doesn't even work. It's like nobody tested it. There was no QA, there was no QC, there was no, they just pushed it out to the world, and it's embarrassing.
Well, it's like all these people offering, Facebook ads or Google ads, and they think they can do it because they ran one ad. It's like, dude, how did you have the balls to literally reach out to people, ask them for their money, and not know what you're doing? Like,
That's why I called you, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I never charged a penny to run traffic for the first 5 years I was doing this, because I didn't feel comfortable doing it. I didn't feel comfortable that, taking somebody's money and bringing the results. Now I'll do it all day long because it's gotten to a point where I know it inside out. But at the time, it's like it never even crossed my mind. And I guess that's the difference between honest people and others. Trying to make a quick buck, and it makes a huge difference. All right, so let's talk.
It hard for. Oh, go ahead.
So
it makes it hard for. Makes it hard for us honest guys because everybody else is so jaded, right?
Yeah.
Well, we've been burned before, and we don't feel like paying twice as much for the same thing. I'm like, you're not getting the same thing. You're going to get something that works, and we're going to work with you. It's going to be better. We're not just going to let you make the decision to put this widget on this page. We're going to say that's dumb because marketing, and you need to do it X, Y, Z way, best practices. And now you have a product that actually it's going to convert, or it's going to function properly, or it's going to take 20% off of your bottom line for your sales team because now you've got a CRM that works instead of one that you got to jump through hoops. And it's crazy. So
yeah, that's where value comes in. So let's talk about SEO, man. I mean, I know the basics of SEO, but how important is SEO nowadays? Because I look at the Google front page and literally 90% of it looks like their ads. So is SEO still relevant? I mean, it's always going to be relevant, I guess. So I shouldn't say that. But let's talk about it, man. It's changed a lot in the past, I feel like 3 years. Just to, it changes all the time. But the past 3 years, I've seen like a huge change in like when you go to Google and all that. So what should people be doing right now? What should they, be doing to improve, or is it worth it? What's your take on that?
So you're right. SEO is always going to be a thing, right? Number one is number one. People Google for things. Now, right now, number one is pushed way down the list because you've got up to 4 ads. You've got the map listings on the right. You've got potential rich snippets under there that are question answer type things, and 100 different things that Google's testing that you may see that I might not see on the homepage. So but that number one listing is still very important because it's going to get all the traffic, right? You've still got 8 to 10 listings on the page, depending on mobile, desktop, all this stuff. But if you're on page 2, very little traffic. If you're on page 1, lots of traffic. You're at 1, 2, 3, still tons of traffic, right? And that's never going to change. What you're fighting now is beating the authority, and depending on your space, if you're in the finance industries, if you're in the health, wealth, any sort of medical, like that's really tough right now, because if you're not a verified doctor, or if you're not a scientific journal or an editorial that's got tons of good history out there on the web, it's very, very hard to outrank those guys as of August 19, right? Or 18. Yeah, so Google updates have been coming through for what's known as YMYL, which is your money, your life. And you can think of any of that content that tells somebody that may affect their health or wealth. So whether you're skincare, a bank, a loan financial institution, anything like that, even yoga, right? Like you're telling people to do something that could affect their health. And that has become very difficult to fight the guys up top, like Healthline, WebMD, obviously Wikipedia. All of those types of guys are really outranking small mom and pops, especially if you sell a product. So if you've got good content, but you're trying to sell a product at the same time, there's an obvious promotional advertising connection there, and Google knows that. Whereas somebody like Healthline, WebMD, those are just straight, they're not selling any product, right? So it's super, super hard to outrank those guys. Now, if you're in industries, if you're in a local industry and you don't have a ton of competition, easy mode, right? You can still do easy mode there if you've got your map pack set up where you're on Google Maps.
Hold on. What do you mean by easy mode?
If you don't have a lot of competition and you're not in a health or wealth.
Oh, easy mode, industry. Like easy. Okay, gotcha. I thought you meant there was a pack or something. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. There's 10 years ago, everything was easy mode, right? It was super simple to get ranked.
Baby. Backlinks all day long.
You push a few backlinks to a Chinese cat website, and you throw 300 versions of the same content on every potential state and city that you might manage, and you're golden. You're golden. But now, Google calls those doorway pages and specifically hates them, and all this other stuff. And so it's changed dramatically. Like you said, the last couple of years, they've introduced tons of updates, and some of the updates have just been reversals of previous updates.
Oh, really?
One of our finance clients, the August 18 update was just wrecked them, like 60-70% in a day, down, done.
I remember talking about
Naturally,
that. Yeah.
Naturally we went, and we're talking, they were getting 70,000 quote requests a month, right? Up from 700 a couple of years ago, right? So and now they're down to like 10,000, 15,000 a month. And there's no clear explanation why. So naturally, we're working on a solution. We're working on generating additional authority, making sure nobody's backlinking to us that we don't want backlinking to us, going through the content, adjusting internal links, adjusting all of the technical verbiage that we think Google wants now. And then without making any serious moves to improvement through March of 19, I think it was March 12th of 19 update, boom, tripled the traffic that day. So, and it was a clear reversal of the August update for whatever metrics that they had hit, that they had penalized that site for. But there was no official penalty. There was nothing from Google. There was no official indicator of what we had done wrong, what Dude, Google now.
This is my daily life with Facebook. Are you kidding me? All of a sudden campaigns tanked. What happened? Oh, no, everything's normal. Nothing has happened. We haven't done anything. And then you like start tinkering with stuff. I'm like, why is this working again all of a sudden when I do this, when it's not supposed to? It's like you never get an answer. You never get.
Or they just turn off an account and
yes.
And you're like, what's this? And you're like, please review this. And they're like, oh yeah, you're fine. Click.
Or you're back on. Or you get the death of, no, you violated policies. That's it. You're done. I remember the first time I got that one, I was like, what? I was on a heart attack.
What did I do?
No,
prove it.
No, it's like, business as usual. Use the backup. It's like whatever. So, people are still selling all those backlinks and all that stuff. I sent you that link the other day to that package that somebody was selling in the Black Hat forums. So how are people using those? It's just temporary websites just to rank up like a landing page type of deal? Not for, so I don't want people to fall for those scams. That's why I'm bringing it up,
Well, first thing you have to understand is that it's all a game. You're playing a game. There's so many things involved. But Google looks at everything from your title of your page to how long people stay on your page, typically, to how many people click on it on search engines. So the rich get richer is kind of the flow of things in SEO. So it's really hard starting at the bottom these days. But yeah, for packages like that, I have tried every one of those packages over the years, right? People will rant and rave about them. Who knows if those are paid reviews, whatever. They'll have case studies, whatever. We've tried all of them. We do have one vendor that we've had success with over the years. It's all white hat. It's not gray or black hat. We can verify all of the links that we do get through them. And we use vendors like that because they have the network. They have the relationships that with bloggers and content networks and things like that they can go out, say, hey, we saw this article, it fits our client's need, can you recommend, or can you go through, add some verbiage around this topic or whatever, or we'll even rewrite it for them sometimes, and essentially contribute it like a guest post, but not quite a guest post, and get that backlink. So it's all manual outreach. If there's anything that's not purely manual outreach, then it's going to be lower quality. And if the domain authority that the link is going on is low, or it's got a high spam score based on Moz or SEMrush or whichever kind of quality rating you're looking at, then it's useless. And the problem with these packages that go out there is they've got networks too, but they're either PBNs or just garbage sites that they own themselves
What's a
or have
PBN?
partnerships. Jesus, you're gonna catch me off guard now.
Sorry, it's like I never heard of PBN.
It's something blog network, personal blog network.
Okay, gotcha. I know what it is.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So, all right.
Yeah, and that's
No.
so.
So
And they're usually like,
yeah. So people buying all those packages and all that stuff, if they work, it'll be temporary until it's the cat.
and you don't want to use them
game.
on your money site. You can use them on a sub site to test them, and sometimes it'll work, and sometimes it'll work for a long time. It's because you're playing the game, and Google might not see you, and the right link might not be there to call you out, or something like that, and it may work for years. So it's always a gamble. So what we do is we do strictly white hat. We follow best practices everywhere, and we tweak those best practices as they change. So there's no real gamble, but you're still playing a game. It's still a long-term game, whereas I can go buy you clicks on AdWords or Facebook today, right?
Yeah.
But the trick is there that costs you $2, $3, $4, $20, $100 per click, no matter what, and that's always going to increase, right? Google
Right.
AdWords is gotten crazy expensive over the years, right?
Oh, Facebook's it's heading the same way, and it's hilarious to me because people are like, "Oh, what? What do you mean I can't just spend $5 a day on an ad?" Oh, like, dude, supply and demand. Like, have you heard of it? You know, this is not 5 years ago. Like, and people don't get it. So, but I always think SEO is necessary for the long run game if you have a brand. So, if you're starting a brand, or whatever it is, I want to say, yeah. Where do you see, what's the basic stuff that needs to be in place so people don't mess it up from the beginning until they can afford to hire somebody like you guys to come in and start doing the SEO?
The big thing is to go out and find somebody like us who will give you a free SEO checklist, and to actually read it and do a little bit of research and write content that is organically good. Don't focus so much on beating the search engines, because they're getting smarter and they're using AI these days. They're getting smarter to actually know what's an organic piece of content or not, right?
No more keyword stuffing.
You want to write, keyword stuffing, just having synonyms for the purpose of synonyms, and doing things like linking too much or linking the same word over and over and over, like that type of stuff. Things like in our checklist that we say to avoid, but you really want to write long form content. So you still want to have 800 to 1,000 words if possible, plus, but you want to have as much content as possible, as much content that answers the user's question, right? And you want to write 2 questions. You want to go out and say, what are users searching for? So like that exercise we did with the content program, right? So what are the questions that users are looking for? Even if it's 20 people a month, if you can sell your product or service to those 20 people a month by writing 1,000 words directly answering their questions, that's 20 sales a month, and it took you a couple of hours to write that content, right? So that's hugely profitable. Whereas a lot of people will just go out and start these content programs and pay some writer overseas to write a $50 article that's 500 words long to try to sell something or try to rank for blue widgets, and there's just no way that type of content is gone. But content is still king. So you're producing this content.
That's what we're here.
What?
Content is king.
Yeah, we're producing this content.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And video is huge too. If you can do video, a lot of times we try to get clients to do video, then we transcribe that video into actual blog posts. We clean it up, we optimize it for SEO, and now all of a sudden you're creating content that's going to be consumed in multiple mediums and on multiple websites, and you can have a YouTube description that is also generating SEO on YouTube, and your YouTube channel and all that stuff. So doing kind of all of it is important, right? You're doing video, embedding the video in the blog post, writing a blog post too, and making sure it's mobile friendly. So huge blocks of text and stuff like that don't work anymore. But yeah, if you're just starting out, you want to answer the user's questions with your content, and that's absolutely step one. And then you want to get that content shared. So you want to get that out on social media. You want to get that out in public spaces where it's going to be visible, where Google can see it being shared and being engaged with, right? So you don't want to over promote yourself, especially these days. And if you're selling e-commerce products or something, you don't want to put a bunch of links to your e-commerce products in your blog post, because that's self-promotion, and Google's really cracking down on that. So yeah, it's all about speaking to the customer's question.
Awesome, man. That's some great advice right there, because I see a lot of people that still, again, think that they can hack the system all day long. While it will work temporarily, it's better to do it the right way. Like we're doing it with the super agency that we put together, Pixlfeed Media, for established e-commerce brands who want to take it to the next level. I'll put the link down below, invite only. So the biggest problem that I see is people try to pay to play right off the bat without creating any content, and that ends up hurting when it comes to the SEO game. Because now that you have the social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, whatever, Instagram, Snapchat, all that ties back in. I mean, the crawlers tie all that back together, especially if you're getting shared all over the place, which it will rank your content higher. Or am I wrong there?
Yeah, if you don't have a lot of content and it's not quality content, so quality over quantity, and thin content, so there's ratios involved in all kinds of crazy stuff. So if you're just trying to pay to play and get all of this traffic from social media or whatever like that, then there's not going to be a big sticking factor, right? Or a big ranking factor for that matter. You really have to build the content, and it has to be good, and then you have to share that content and get engagement on that content, not just silly cat pictures and stuff like that. Not you can't win
I love silly cat pictures
game and the SEO game. It works for getting shares and stuff, but those people aren't gonna engage with the actual brand, and we've got examples of that too, where we've got 10, 20, 30, 40,000 followers on these Facebook pages, but the only thing you get engagement wise is a share if you post a stupid cat picture. But those people aren't customers.
Right.
Those people aren't buying anything. So you can get as many of those as you want all day long, and they're not helping you build anything.
So quality over quantity. I think we can end it there because we're out of time. But Jason, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really, really appreciate it. Hopefully I can splice all of this together since the connection dropped a couple of times. But we're since you're traveling the world, living the dream. So where can people find you, man?
Yeah, decisivedesign.com. And
right.
where our small business platform is decisivesites.com. And that's for small businesses. We build it and everything. So yeah, check it out.
All right, cool. Check out all the links in the description. And again, Jason, thank you so much for doing this with me today. And everybody who's listening, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.